Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Deepa Shree. I am an interventional radiologist. Today I am going to talk to you all about stress management. I really don't want to call it stress management. I would rather call it managing our minds. Because most of us, we use this word very commonly, isn't it? You take a child, you take an adult, you take someone who is elderly, everybody says they are under a lot of stress these days. Now, why do you think people are stressed? I mean, there are a lot of reasons for stress. I really don't want to get into the details of why somebody could be stressed. There are multiple reasons, isn't it? It could be financial reasons, it could be health reasons, it could be relationship issues. There are a lot of things which are responsible for stress. Now, before I dive into managing stress, I really wanted to say from doctor's perspective, what exactly is stress? Stress, actually, to explain to you all in simple terms, is when somebody is unable to manage the demands. If the demands are high, we are unable to manage those demands. That is when somebody feels stressed. Let's say somebody has got an exam and then you're unable to prepare well for the exam, you get stressed. It could be as simple as getting stuck in traffic, you feel stressed. It's only because of that fear, isn't it? So there are a million reasons for stress. Now, before I go into that, let me explain to you what exactly happens when you're stressed inside our bodies. Now, there is a physiological response. When you're stressed, you probably realize you have palpitations. That is, your heart starts beating fast. You also have sweating, unknowingly your body starts sweating. And sometimes you feel dizzy as well. And at times you feel this whole world is upside down. Now, why do you think this happens? It is some kind of a physiological response inside your body which is responsible for all these symptoms that you get during stress. The palpitations that I'm talking about, the dizziness, the whole world looking upside down, breathing faster, etc., etc. So, everything is running in an autopilot mode without your own knowledge. You're not asking your heart to beat fast. You're not asking your lungs to breathe faster. And you're not asking the whole world to go upside down. This happens in an autopilot mode because of chemicals and hormones inside our body. Now, one of the most important stress hormones that we all should be aware of, and I'm sure most of you are aware of, is something called as cortisol. When somebody is stressed, automatically your body produces this hormone called as cortisol. Now, what does this cortisol do? Cortisol can have its effect on literally every organ inside your body. One of the number one disasters this cortisol can do is it can increase your blood sugar levels. It can also increase your blood pressure, and that is when people are prone to hypertension. You all would have seen when somebody is stressed, their BP shoots up. It is because of the effect of this cortisol. And also when somebody is stressed, their blood sugar levels are upside down. It becomes erratic. It sometimes becomes unmanageable to control the blood sugars when somebody is stressed because this cortisol has got its effect on the insulin inside our bodies. And now insulin, as you all know, is responsible for regulating your blood glucose levels. When the blood glucose levels are erratic because of this cortisol, again, the diabetes becomes out of control. And one more important thing I really wanted to share with you all is about the effect of stress on our immune system. All of us are under so much of stress during this pandemic because of the COVID. Now, what's happening? People go in and take a lot of vitamin C, or they take in a lot of tablets to combat the stress. But did you know that stress can decrease your immunity? Stress can decrease your immunity, and if your immune system is down, you will be prone to lots of infections. So there is no point going and eating this healthy stuff to boost your immune system. The most important thing to do is to decrease the stress. Now, you all must be thinking, we all probably know most of these things. Now, how do we deal with stress? Now, I really don't want to say, oh, just go to Google and then just put in the ways of dealing with the stress. I mean, there are 7 tips for stress or 14 tips to combat stress. People say read books, meditate, yoga, play with pets, or listen to music, etc., etc. I really don't want to say that because there's no point knowing these 7 steps to combat the stress. Imagine there is a leaking pot. Now, what are we trying to do if there is a leaking pot? You try to fill the pot with a lot of water. You feel good momentarily, or the pot is full for some time, but the leak is not sealed, isn't it? This is what we are trying to do all our lives. When you're stressed, you go and listen to some music, and temporarily you feel okay, but again you feel stressed again. So day 2 you're stressed, and again you try to do something. You probably go and watch Netflix, you probably have a chat with your friend, you do something like that, and you feel your stress is gone temporarily. But that's not a permanent solution. Now, what is a permanent fix to deal with the stress? I'll tell you 4 things that we need to do to deal with the stress. One of the most important things is awareness. Most of us, we are not aware about our own selves. We are not aware that we are stressed. If you're stuck in the traffic jam, are you aware that you're stressed? Do you talk to yourself? Automatically it goes into this autopilot mode, isn't it? When you become aware, every half an hour or every time you are under some kind of a stress, become aware about your own stress. Talk to yourself, introspect and reflect on what's happening inside your body. I'm sure this particular tip will definitely help you in combating the stress, but you must put it into practice. That is the most important thing. So awareness is the number one thing, and awareness leads to something called as self-management. How many of us actually deal with our own selves? For example, if you take somebody who recently had a baby, a mother can deal with the baby very well, isn't it? When a baby is crying, a mother knows exactly as to why the baby is crying. Whether the baby is crying because the baby is hungry, baby is crying because baby wants to go for sleep, or whatever. Mother can understand the mood situation of a child. But have you seen that so many mothers, they are under depression? Why do you think they are under depression? If they can handle their children so well, why can't they handle themselves? It's only because there is no awareness and they do not know how to manage themselves. And this is what happens with most of us. Somehow, down the stage, we have lost that control. We do not know how to manage our own selves. So self-management is the key to combat the stress, and that is the number one step to dealing with the stress. So become aware. And the second thing is, when I say become aware of your own emotions. Sometimes when you're stressed, you probably think you're angry or you're upset, you might become irritable. And what do you do when you're angry? You actually add another emotion to your anger. You feel irritated because you're getting angry. Most of us, when you're angry, you actually don't feel good about it, isn't it? You feel actually irritated because you're getting angry again and again. You would have seen so many people telling you, I don't understand why I'm getting angry. I don't understand why this is happening to me. So you're adding another emotion to already existing negative emotion. So one emotion is not enough for you all. So what we do is we add another emotion to it, and unfortunately this is what happens. The emotions keep adding up and we don't accept our own emotions. So what I would like you all to do is, when you have an emotion, a negative emotion, please accept the emotion. When you accept your own emotion, it just fades away. So that is the number one step, awareness and self-management. And the second thing, what do we need to do is understand our own belief patterns. Belief patterns is a very, very, very powerful principle when it comes to managing your own mind or managing your own stress. Sometimes we take things the way they are. Let me give you an example of these belief patterns. If you take an example of a baby elephant, you all would have gone to circus, and in the circus you would have seen a baby elephant which is tied by a flimsy rope to a peg. Yeah, a baby elephant's leg is tied by a flimsy rope to a peg, and a baby elephant would have tried million times trying to rip the rope apart, but it probably fails because a baby elephant is not very strong. And this is what they do in circus. Now what happens when the baby elephant grows into an adult? An adult doesn't try at all, not even once, because as a baby it would have failed trying to rip the rope apart, so it thinks it cannot do something. This is called as a false belief. Most of us are stuck in our lives because of these false beliefs. We think, I'm not good enough, I cannot do this, I'm unable to do this, or whatever you may call. All these false belief patterns are responsible for stress as well. Most of us get stressed because we cannot achieve something in lives. So please understand about these belief patterns, and when something is limiting you, these are all the limiting beliefs similar to an adult elephant. When something is limiting you, replace the limiting beliefs by empowering beliefs or the empowering thoughts. Thoughts is everything in life, and thoughts is energy. So replace the limiting beliefs by the empowering beliefs, and that is how you can combat the stress as well. So this is the second step. The number one step that I explained to you all is about self-management and awareness about our own emotions. And the second thing is break the belief patterns. Replace your limiting beliefs by your empowering beliefs. That is the second step to combating the stress. Now, the third important thing that I want to say is expectations and assumptions. We all expect people to behave in a certain way, in a particular way. When people don't behave the way we expect them to behave, we become upset and we become stressed. I'm not saying we shouldn't have expectations, but we should be ready to deal with the disappointments as well, because not everything is under our control. You must be thinking all these things are easy to say but difficult to follow. Even I felt so. I'm not perfect either, but what I would say is if you try these little things one step at a time, I'm sure we'll head our way towards success one day. We all can combat stress provided we stick to these things, and we cannot expect an overnight change. One important thing that I would like to say is about your subconscious mind reprogramming. How do we reprogram our subconscious mind? This is something that I'll talk to you in a bit. And before I get into the details of subconscious mind reprogramming, I would like to talk about negativity. How many of us are very positive in life? What is positivity? What is negativity? Some of us are under the assumption positivity is expecting all the best things to happen in the world. You want everything to be rosy, you want the vaccine for COVID to come up, you want the disease to vanish, everything is going to be nice. That is what is positivity, is what all of us think. That is not positivity. Positivity is when there is so much of negativity around, you try to look for something positive out of that situation. That is what is positivity all around. But unfortunately, most of us, we have these negative thoughts troubling us from time to time, isn't it? Negative thoughts do trouble us from time to time. Now, why do you think we are negative? The history goes back to human ancestors. You know, all these cavemen, the human ancestors who were literally sleeping on the top of the trees, they had a negative gene. We all had to be negative at some point of our lives because they were troubled by animals disturbing them, or we really don't know when an animal is going to eat them up. So this negativity was important for our human ancestors to protect themselves. For their own protection, this gene was heavily imbibed in our human ancestors. And the research has proven that. I'm not just saying this, but the research has proven that. So we all have got this negativity gene inside all of us. If you take media or if you take newspapers, there is so much of negativity all around, isn't it? So negativity sells. People use negativity to sell something, to sell a product, to sell anything. If you take WhatsApp, most of the forwards are very interesting if there is some negativity in it. If there is something which is positive, it probably doesn't sell very well. Now they have utilized this particular principle of negativity to sell things. Now why do you think we are negative? It's only because we have imbibed this gene. However, I'm not saying that negativity is not important. It is important to be negative at times. Let's say you walk into a forest, you cannot say everything is going to be fine, I won't be bitten by a snake and I'm absolutely fine. You cannot say that. Obviously, you have to be vigilant and you need to have that fear of negativity at times. But unfortunately, we are not using it at right situations. We try to use it at unnecessary places, and this is what happens. So that is a negativity gene that we imbibe from our ancestors. Now, how do we eliminate this particular negative thought or negativity? All of us feel negative at times. Now, how to overcome this negativity? Overcoming negativity can be done by conscious subconscious reprogramming. This may sound very tricky when I talk about subconscious reprogramming, but actually speaking, it's a very, very simple thing to do. Our brain waves, we have 4 different kinds of brain waves: alpha, beta, gamma and theta. Now when you are in a relaxed state, especially when you are about to get into sleep, or when you are about to meditate, or when you are in a nice relaxed comfortable state, your mind has got this alpha wave pattern. When there is an alpha wave pattern, your subconscious mind is at its maximum potential. When the subconscious mind is at its maximum potential, whatever you think at that particular point of time, it manifests. Believe me, it manifests, and that is what I mean to say by subconscious reprogramming. So when do you need to switch your negative thoughts to positive thoughts? The best time is before you hit the bed. Before you go to sleep, just take 5 or 10 minutes of your time wherever you are and replace your negative thoughts consciously by affirming some positive thought. This is called as a subconscious reprogramming. Now again, if you do it for a day, you can't expect magic in one day. People do it for a week and they expect magic in a week. It doesn't work that way. Subconscious reprogramming works when you do it continuously for minimum 40 days. It is minimum 40 days. Now why do you think this 40 days concept is brought in? When somebody does something for 40 days, it becomes a habit. Only because people, when they follow for 40 days, you kind of discipline yourself. A self-discipline is brought into us and it becomes a habit. So this is the principle of subconscious reprogramming. No matter what you are, you follow something for 40 days because you are reprogramming your subconscious mind to do something. You are disciplining yourself to do something, and in a similar way, you can replace your negative thoughts by positive thoughts by subconscious reprogramming. So please do it every night. If there is a break, your day one starts again for another 40 days. And you will see the transformation in yourself if you follow this particular principle. And this is one of the most important things for stress management. So we spoke about number one thing is a self-management or the awareness. Second thing is how to break your patterns, how to break your beliefs, replace your limiting beliefs by your empowering thoughts and empowering beliefs. Number three, I spoke about the expectations and negativity, and how do you reprogram your subconscious mind is something that I spoke about, number 4. Now what else can we do? Most of us, we really want to please people, isn't it? Most of the times what we do is we try to please somebody. When somebody calls you for dinner, somebody calls you for a wedding, or somebody calls you over the phone, sometimes we struggle. We find it very difficult to say no to people. This can be one of the important factors for stress. Please learn to say no to people if you cannot do something. Most of the times we say yes to a lot of people, and we will be under a lot of stress when we cannot convince people for certain things. So trying to convince people or trying to say yes to everybody can put you under a lot of stress. So learn to say no to people in a polite way, and that will decrease your stress by 50% at least. So now you have known different ways of managing not just stress, I would say managing your mind. This is pretty much managing yourself. If you can do all these things, it is more or less like sealing the leak of the pot. If there is a leaking pot, please don't try to fill the pot with water. Try to seal the leak, and that is how your pot would be full all the time. Other than this, what else do you need to do to combat the stress? There are a lot of other things that you can implement in your day-to-day life. Please consume the right kind of food. Take in a lot of antioxidants, the green leafy vegetables, a lot of greens, because there are a lot of mood elevators. When you take the right amount of food, the right kind of food, your mood remains elevated and you wouldn't be stressed. And of course, you need to hydrate well, and you also need to sleep well. Because when you sleep, again, your immune system goes up, and there is a shift in your hormones when you have a good sleep as well. So good sleep is very important to combat the stress. Now again, when it comes to stress, there is one piece of advice I would like to give for all the kids out there is sometimes when people are preparing for the exams or whatever it could be, children especially these days, or even adults, they are under severe depression when you cannot achieve something, when you are under stress. And this is something that they really don't often talk to other people. They don't really share what exactly is going on with them, especially with others. And depression is something which is affecting, or which is actually engulfing this entire world. It is okay to be depressed. What is not okay is not sharing that you are depressed with others. So please, please, please make sure that if you feel that you have any of these signs or symptoms of depression, feeling low in energy, not interested in anything in the rest of the world, if you have any of these signs or symptoms, you must share these things with your loved ones at least, and please seek help if you are under depression. Now, when again as parents, one thing that we need to do or we need to understand when it comes to understanding our own children is when it comes to the intelligence aspect, which I give a lot of emphasis on. When children don't do very well in the exams, what do? We think intelligence is all related to the logical intelligence, scoring well in your mathematics or physics or sciences intelligence is what we all are thinking. But unfortunately, what is not taught in schools is emotional intelligence. Every child should be taught how to deal with their own emotions. Now, emotional intelligence is not about getting emotional all the time. It's about being smart with your emotions. It's about understanding your own emotions and also understanding the emotions of the others. How many successful people are there who are actually happy? There are a lot of successful people in this world, but do you think they're all happy? Why do you think successful people are not happy? Successful people are not happy only because they don't know how to handle the emotions. They are under constant stress. They may be depressed. So success is not enough for happiness. Now, there is one important difference between happiness and pleasure. There are a lot of people who ask me, what exactly is happiness and what exactly is pleasure? What is the difference between the two? There is a difference between the two. We have a hormone inside our body which is released when you are under pleasure. Let's say you eat biryani, or let's say you eat a piece of cake. We have this feeling of some kind of a pleasure, isn't it? You want to have biryani again, or you want to have the piece of cake again. Why do you think this happens? Or take social media for example. If you go to your Facebook or your Instagram or any of these things, people are craving for likes or comments on their social media. It's only because of a hormone called as dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical which is released inside your brains, and it is also called as a reward hormone. So people are craving for more and more of this dopamine. There is something called as a reward pathway inside our brains. And when you crave for more and more dopamine, you want more likes on your social media handles, you want more of your cakes, or you may want more of your biryanis, you want it again and again. And same thing with your Netflix, same thing with your, whatever you're watching on the television, etc. Some of the things which gives you, it's an addictive phenomenon. So pleasure is something which can be addictive because of this hormone called as dopamine. Now, what is happiness? When do you feel happy? Happiness is because of a hormone called as serotonin inside our brains. There is this particular chemical called serotonin which is released when you're happy. Now, when is serotonin produced? How can you increase your serotonin levels inside your body? There are a couple of things that you can do to increase the serotonin levels. One of the most important things to increase the serotonin levels is exercise. Exercise is number one factor which can increase your serotonin levels. You would have seen that there are a lot of people who go to gym or who run, who do some brisk walking, etc., etc. They feel good. Why do you think they feel good? When you do yoga, when you do meditation, you feel good, isn't it? It's only because of this particular hormone called as serotonin, and that is an important difference between the happiness hormone serotonin and the pleasure hormone dopamine. Now, other than all these things, you all need to make sure that you eat well, because there are some mood elevating drugs. There are mood elevating drugs inside your own food. You don't have to go and take some anti-anxiety medication to improve your mood. Your food is mood elevator. Take the right kind of food, which is green leafy vegetables and fruits, the antioxidants. All these things can help you to improve your mood. Other than that, make sure that you sleep well as well, because sleep improves your immune system and it also decreases the stress levels. And of course, you need to drink plenty of water per day. I hope all these tips are useful today, and this helps to manage your stress and manage your own self.